All right, it is Glock Day here at the Headshot 87 channel. Table full of Glocks. Can't wait to show you the star of the show, which is the 43X. The others are here for comparisons and just for you guys to look at while we're talking and doing the intro here. So today, like I said, today, star of the show, Glock 43X. We're going to compare this gun to a couple of others here and one that's not seen. The Evil Sig P365, which I think is the reason for this gun. Just kidding. We all know that is the reason for this gun. I'm going to do a little bit of comparison, but I don't want to spoil the upcoming video coming where we have both the guns side by side. But like I said, you guys know how we do it by now. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us. But what we're going to do, shooting, pros and cons. And the main question for this video is, does the Glock 43X have a place in the concealed carry market? That's the question we're going to answer at the end of the video. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Really quick, our patrons on Patreon, we love you guys. Thank you for joining us. If you want to support the channel, it's a great way to do it. If not, no big deal. We love you guys either way. On Gunstreamer, we're on there now. Facebook, pretty much everywhere. So come check us out. Subscribe to us. Always trying to open up more platforms and make sure our videos are safeguarded from the unknown. So let's go ahead and get started. Overall length on the Glock 43X. Looks a little bit different too, by the way. How about that silver coating on the slide? Overall length, 6.5 inches. Width is 1.1 inches. That's overall. Your slide width is 0.87 inches. Okay. Height with your magazine, of course, is 5.04 inches. Empty weight, 18.7 ounces. And the barrel length is 3.4 inches. You might be thinking, okay, that those numbers don't mean a whole lot. Well, let's compare it first to maybe the Glock 26, which is really the original polymer striker fired, at least decent concealed carry gun. All right. Taking a look at the slides, Glock 26 looks to be a little bit longer. This is where your money is in the Glock 43X and the 43 and others like it. You can tell how much skinnier that one is. This dimension is kind of crazy. Now, the Glock 43X and the 26 are both 10-round guns, but check out the size difference in the grip right there. All right, now obviously the 26 is a double stack, so it is a thicker gun, and they're able to get more rounds with less, but still pretty crazy. What about the Glock 19? Check that out. Obviously, it is a much bigger gun, pretty much all the way around, you know, width, slide length, overall length, obviously. What about the grip lengths? This may actually surprise you a little bit. Check that out. Pretty much identical in the grip length. Glock 19 is 15 rounds. Glock 43X is 10 rounds, like we just said. All right, pretty crazy. Almost pretty much the same size grip. What about the Evil Sig P365? I think I'm going to hold that one off just for a little while. I'll show you guys in a minute. I promise we will come back to it, at least show an overview of the size differences. All right, so let's talk about the new features on this gun. The first thing that stands out is that finish. This is a silver NPVD finish, and let's just hope that it holds up better than especially the Glock 26. The Gen 5 Glocks have, I think it's like an NDLC finish. I'm sure there's some kind of a difference, and I don't do metallurgy and all that kind of stuff. What we want as a consumer is we want something that does not scratch up as easily. This finish has actually held up pretty well on the Gen 5 Glock. I will say that. On the Gen 4s, they had some issues, and mine had some issues too. It just, discoloration and just scratched up really easily. So hopefully it will hold up well. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit more, because I'm not seeing, I don't know how strong this is going to be. Let me just say that. So, but you do have a new finish on there, and it does come with that silver two-tone type of look straight from the factory. Like I said, both of these guns were released at the same time, 43X and the 48. What else? You got a beaver tail here. No provisions for left-handed shooters. Sorry, guys, they just don't have it like they have on the brand new Gen 5. So it's almost like taking a step back. I don't get it. I mean, they're again, I'm not an engineer, but the slide stops are so minimal on these guns. I don't know why they couldn't put that provision in there. But you do have a reversible magazine release, front slide serrations. Now on these guns, you do get an extra 1 or 2 serrations with the 48 because it is a longer gun. So basically what you have on the 48 is a skinnier 19 with 5 less rounds, just to give you an idea what that gun is like. But front and rear slide serrations, I did opt for the night sights on this version because I didn't want the my own complaining to get in the way of this review with the regular Glock sights. You know I hate those sights, so I think it was like $50 more. I went with the night sight option from the factory. So you do get 2 magazines directly from Glock. So unlike the Gen 5s and even the Gen 4s where it comes with 3 mags, it only comes with 2, and you can kind of see how this magazine is set up. You have somewhat of a taper towards the top, and then it's just a straight shot all the way down. But they were able to squeeze 10 rounds into a fairly skinny magazine, and you can see your provision there for your reversible magazine release. You basically have the same style grip texturing. The rough texture finish is what they call it. I generally actually don't even have a problem with this. Even when my hands start sweating, it's a little slick, but it's not bad at all. It's a pretty good balance between keeping the gun in your hand while you're firing and sweating and all that kind of stuff, and concealed carry, because it doesn't really rub you raw on your skin. So I do appreciate that. You can see the mag does stick out pretty much like any typical Glock like that, okay? So squared off trigger guard, undercutting the frame, some of the typical Glock stuff. I'm sorry if we can't get the lighting straight on this gun. I'm gonna try to get in really close so you guys can see the lettering and stuff. We're not gonna be able to get it like this the whole time just because it's so freaking bright, and if we lower it too much, you're not gonna be able to see the gun. But Glock 43X, they're made in Austria. This version is, of course, and then this side has your serial number and all of that good stuff. Okay, so like a typical Glock, but they have definitely made some changes on this one. The barrel they have in it is their match grade marksman's barrel, and then of course everything else we just talked about. So let's break the gun down. Actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and compare it to the SIG P365 if you were looking to see that. This is the biggest reason I'm sure this Glock is with us today. So SIG 365 on your left, it is quite a bit shorter. The slide width is just about the same. Now this is why SIG made their patents on the magazine though. Check that out. Both 10 round guns, and definitely pretty much a full inch shorter with the same mag capacity. Now of course we will talk more about this gun and this gun in the review, but Mrs. Headshot has been carrying this gun now, and it's awesome. Our version has been nothing short of awesome. As far as carrying it, holster, you guys know how I like, or what I like anyways. Really nice setup. These guys had their holsters ready pretty much from day one. They knew that a lot of people were going to be interested in this gun, so they had them ready for you guys. And we have plenty of videos on Holster if you're interested, discount codes, the whole deal. We'll be doing a separate one on the Glock 43X though. And then the mag carrier. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about this stuff here in a little while. So, breakdown. I know it's probably boring. Make sure it's clear, pull the trigger, cheat back on the slide. You guys have seen that a million times. Dual captive recoil spring. Polymer, of course, barrel, striker block, and a lot of dirt because this thing has been shot. We took it on, I don't know, 2 or 3 trips with us, and we just wanted to get a good feel for the gun and just make sure everything was smooth. So let's take you guys there. We'll go to the range. When we get back, we'll show you the trigger, weight, pros and cons, and talk about the 43X and see if it actually does have a place in this concealed carry market. We'll see you guys in a minute. shooter. Right. High five. Good job. So, as you can see, the gun is actually a really good shooter. I mean, compared to the 43, which if there's enough interest in it, I might actually do one of those as well. But compared to the 43, this thing blows it out of the water at the range. I'll just go ahead and tell you that right now. Let's check the trigger, just show you what it looks like. The triggers on the 43X, the 42, the 43 are much different feeling than those of the 26, 19, and all of those guns. Let me show you. Alright, looks like a standard trigger. Break. Reset. Alright, very audible, tactile, of course. What about the weight? Let's try that here really quick. 6 pounds, 11 ounces. I think they estimate anywhere from right at 5.5 pounds. I think that's what they do on all their guns, though. Let's try to get it from the bottom. Bad reading. Hold on, let's try this again. I hate pulling Glock triggers on this gauge. 6 pounds, 10 ounces. Let's try this thing one more time. 6 pounds, 7 ounces. Point being, now, I have not had, actually, I haven't really had a whole bunch of rounds out of this one, but let's try the Glock 19 Gen 5. 5 pounds, 3 ounces. Consistently, I get about that weight. Glock 43X, one more time. 6 pounds, 6. It's just a heavier trigger. And it feels heavy whenever you're heavier than those other versions whenever you're firing. So just keep that in mind. It is not like a standard Glock trigger. Even though it looks, sounds, feels, it is definitely not that. So just throwing that out there. But with all that being said, it was still an awesome shooter. So it's not like it feels considerably different. I just don't want this being passed off as a typical Glock trigger, in my experience anyways. But shooting was fine and no issues. And from what I've seen, one thing I don't like doing is I don't like looking at other people's reviews before I do my own review, because I don't want my image of the gun tainted before I even take my first shot. But from what I've seen, because I have watched a few videos, at least clips on this gun, reliability, we haven't seen any issues with that. And that is the biggest plus with Glock making their own version of the gun. You don't see the reliability issues like we've seen with SIG. And we've seen some pretty significant ones, not in our case, but it's kind of hard to ignore the many reviewers and other people that had issues with the P365. Not so much on the 43X. At the range, the gun did actually really well. That does come with a price, though, and we'll talk about that here in just 1 second. What about the pros on the Glock 43X? Shoots very nice. We just talked about that. The night sights, I actually really like these. They're already set up, so you have that little bit of a ramp if you need to do a one-handed reload. You're good there. The sight radius on these sights, this is the first time I think I've ever used Glock night sights, and I actually really like them. They pick up well at night, and they pick up pretty decently during the day. No issues there. Capacity, 10 rounds. 10 plus 1 in the chamber, 2 magazines. That's an awesome thing. For this size of gun, I'd say that's pretty respectable. At least for the width and the weight of the gun, I'd say that's pretty respectable. Front slide serrations, this is probably more of an aesthetic thing for me. Not that it makes much of a difference with anything, because I don't do a lot of press checks. But if you do, they're there, and I honestly kind of like them. The finish looks really good, straight from the factory. I don't know. It sets it apart from your typical Glock, so I do appreciate that. No finger grooves. So they kind of kept this thing from the Gen 5 with no finger grooves. Definitely a fan of that. And reliable. And you can trust this gun. And since the first time we took it to the range, I ran some rounds through it, made sure everything was working fine. I have had no problems carrying this gun. Now, it took me almost a year to hand over the 365 to Mrs. Headshot. I carried it for the entirety of that year, for the most part. You know, sometimes I'd switch up, but it took me almost a year to give her that one. This one, on the other hand, she wanted to carry because she actually likes the gun. But this grip, and this leads us into our cons, is probably the biggest con on the gun. Now, I understand the SIG has a basically a monopoly on their magazine, their follower, and all of that. Again, I'm not an engineer, but I feel like there's something they could have done to try to shorten the length, to just shorten this grip. You know, 10 rounds for me, this is not worth it. I mean, it is literally like carrying a smaller, lighter, less full Glock 19. All right? For some people, they may like that. For me, I just don't see a real benefit in it. And that is my biggest gripe with this gun, is that magazine, the grip length, I should say, is just way too long. As far as the way the gun carries, I mean, if you have the right setup, it actually carries really well. It's light, it's thin, but this just, I'm just not impressed with it. I don't know, you know, I can't say in today's time, is there a place for this gun? I'd say yeah, because there's enough people that believe and like Glock and they're going to buy them. But if I'm coming into this thing brand new with all the options there are, just exclude the P365 even, I can't say this is something I'd pick up, especially if I'm trying to do a deep concealment or if I'm a woman. Miss Headshot cannot conceal this thing IWB. No way. It just sticks out way too much. Even for me, I caught myself at times, and I wear way looser stuff than what she wears. I mean, it would be kind of weird if I wore the shirts that she wears. But even for me, at times, I saw, you know, I'd see the grip kind of sticking out, and I'll show you guys pictures. It just way too long for this type of gun. I don't know. I'm not convinced that this is something I would trade in even my 43, because look, you can get mag extensions, reliable mag extensions for the 43. Add 2 more rounds to that gun. You know, you'll be short 2 rounds, but I don't know. I'm just not convinced. This grip is just too long, in my opinion. Also, there are no provisions for a left-handed shooter. Now, you might be thinking we're making the decisions on it that we made just because there are some good things with it, and you know, I hate to be the one to dump on this gun, but I don't see the benefit of it. I just don't. It also doesn't take Glock mags or standard Glock mags. I did want to point that out. It's kind of a little joke there, but you know, if you're gonna get a gun like this, I'd say get the 43, get a mag extension, a reliable one, and just run with that, because that gun's going to be lighter. It's going to be shorter than this gun. I mean, I think compared to the regular 43, this one is almost an inch, 3/4 of an inch longer. That makes a big difference inside the waistband when you're trying to conceal. Now, maybe you carry appendix. I know a lot of guys that carry appendix, and they can pretty much hide anything. Me, I just have too much fluff around the middle to do that, so I can't really speak too much on that. I can just tell you, carrying anywhere from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock position, I sometimes struggle to conceal this gun, conceal it well enough. You know, shield, the 26 even, this gun conceals great. There's just, to me, better options out there. Like I said, they did some fine things. I'm just not convinced that this is the answer to the SIG P365. But that is just my opinion. Of course, I want to hear what yours is down in the comments below. We will see you guys in the next one. And as always, hold them down.